Dares. Yeah, we're doing The Walking Dead 400 Days Unsolved Mysteries. We've done we've done The Walking Dead, the whole series that he's made. Hopefully he does. Hopefully he does do The Walking Dead Michonne. I think he talks about it in the video here. But yeah, The Walking Dead 400 Days Unsolved Mysteries. Panda Dares. If you haven't, go like him. Go subscribe to him. Pretty cool guy seems like. But yeah, let's get started. And then, yeah, too, if you haven't played The Walking Dead 400 Days, this video is going to contain spoilers, too. You know, common sense. But, yeah, don't watch the video if you don't want spoilers or if you haven't played it yet and you don't want it to be spoiled if you want to play it first.
Previously on The Walking Dead.
We finally completed Season 4, marking the end of the standalone mainline titles. As per my promise in the outro of the final season, there's a couple of things I've
Panda Dares keeps his promises, baby. Let's go.
Yet to discuss. Firstly, Michonne, which I believe is a spin-off, so if I ever decide to make that one, it would be the last.
Yeah, you should. I mean, I know it's a smaller series, and it was like a quick wrap-up and everything. I think it's only like 3 episodes, I think? I know it wasn't a full series, it wasn't a full season, but yeah, I'd be down to do The Walking Dead Michonne too, so yeah, Panda Dares, I salute you.
So the Forgotten Mysteries list, which will integrate those across the entire series that were originally overlooked. The topic of this video, however, is of course 400 Days, a bonus episode and a DLC expansion of Season 1. First released in the summer of 2013, I believe it's one of the best DLCs ever made, introducing a new cast of iconic characters and a concept of telling short, interconnected stories from
It was, yeah, I will say it was nice. It was cool how they even set it up, you know what I'm saying? Say you're a survivor walking through town, you walk up to your poster board and you see like images and other notes from other survivors. You gotta, I don't know, it would seem realistic to me because in the post-apocalyptic world, how else are you gonna, communicate, I guess, to say, hey, there's other people here. But on top of that too, you know what I'm saying? Say you walk into this poster board, you don't even know if these people are alive anymore. You know what I'm saying? These could have been left here a day ago, a month ago, a year ago. You don't know that. But I did like that. I did like the intro, how they had I like the detail to it, the creative detail is what I'm saying. And yeah, it was short. It was nice and short, like 15 to 30 minute episodes, I think. So it was kind of short, but they did a good job with it, making a short story, still including action and still making it feel good, you know what I'm saying, as a game.
0 to 400 days after the outbreak started. For the sake of inclusivity, I will stick to one mystery per story in preparation for the big one at the end.
Oh yeah.
It was an accident.
Hey, that's enough. I heard rumors about these places.
Hey, premium coming soon, bro. Donate to the stream, donate to YouTube. Next check.
Vince's story takes place at the very beginning. There's a short prologue which shows him in the act of murdering someone. While escaping the scene down an alleyway, we're abruptly skipped ahead to a prison bus 2 days into the outbreak, regardless of how we dispose of the evidence. Now, this isn't the main topic of this mystery, but ironically, Vince and Lee were being transported to the same prison at the exact same time. I just wonder how much different Lee's story would have looked if the officer had just paid attention to the road.
Shoot, because then we don't run into Clementine, but you're right, maybe we run into Justin, right? Justin and Lee as a combo?
Clementine still be okay. Anyway, there's two very important characters in Vince's campaign. Justin, a fraudulent businessman who used a pyramid scheme to extort hundreds of millions of dollars, and Danny, who's a convicted sex offender. After a series of unfortunate events, we're eventually forced into a moral dilemma where we can choose to save either Justin or Danny at the expense of shooting the other's leg off. Depending on the choice, we escape with one of them and the other is presumed dead, with the walkers closing in from all sides. The following mystery is simple. When we see Vince again, 398 days later, Danny or Justin are suddenly nowhere to be seen. So what happened to them? To find out what exactly happened, we need to pay attention to Vince's dialogues at the campsite, where anything regarding his past can be...
Yeah, that's interesting. And then even too, I think his name's Wyatt. Even Wyatt had like a missing... Well, we saw what happened to his friend, and because Clementine kills his friend, we saw that, but at the time you didn't know that. But yeah, I wonder like how they got... Well, he leaves you in the car, but I wonder if there's like any way around that. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say here.
Used to determine a possible cause of death. a location or time frame when they
Oh,
disappeared.
this is what I was gonna say. I know if you play the game, so if you play, depending how you play it, you do see them as walkers in other people's stories. Just from having played it myself, either I think Danny or Justin, vice versa, you do see them as walkers, and you see the prison bus in other people's stories too. That same prison bus that Vince was on. You do kind of see they do kind of intermingle. That's what I was gonna say on
We'll
that.
start with Justin since he's the character I save 90% of the time just out of principle. Fortunately, it didn't take long to figure out how long their friendship lasted after this incident. Vince says this about a guy he was traveling with, who in this context is obviously meant to be Justin.
It was an accident.
Hey, that's enough! I heard rumors about these places. This guy I was traveling with ditched me trying to find one in his own.
Something of note is that this
Okay, so they end up getting he ends up ditching him. Interesting, okay.
occurred before Vince found any other survivors. In contrast, if you save Danny, Russell remembers him. I'll talk more about him later, but it's clear that Justin split up with Vince soon after escaping the bus, and didn't bother to stick around for long. And because we never see Justin in Season 2 or any other Walking Dead media, it's safe to say that he's either dead or followed through on his plan to find a well-guarded and hidden community, something resembling Erickson's boarding school for example. In hindsight, his betrayal was very obvious because of his personality. Unlike Danny,
I was gonna say so those type of people, like those money laundering scam people, they're like, their mentality is kind of different. Who they are as people, they're evil. I'm not gonna, they're evil, you know what I'm saying? So their mindset is kind of off. And you even like looking at this character, bro, even like looking at him, they do a good job of making it real enough where he even looks like, I wouldn't trust him. To be honest, I wouldn't trust him because I know his mental and I know what those kind of people are like, bro. Yeah, so I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm not surprised that he split off from you or like left you. I'm not surprised about that.
In court to reduce his sentence, shows absolutely no remorse for his many victims, and consistently comes across as overtly slimy and self-centered.
Yeah.
You know the funny thing? I don't regret any of it. I carried my victims for years. They knew what they were getting into.
Danny's case is much different. His fate is confirmed in the alternate dialogue of the finale if you save him instead of Justin. This time, Vince speaks very highly of him, addressing him by name, and is what ultimately causes him to stay behind with a newfound trust.
Cared when he let you run off alone.
That's enough, Becca. Guys, look. If I learned one thing from Danny, it's that we have to stick together and protect ourselves.
What? That guy was an asshole.
Okay, good. Because I played this, so I played it when it first dropped, like years ago, like back in 2013. Whenever it first dropped, I played that, and I didn't know that. And even in my recent playthrough, I just kind of went over my head. Shout out Panadares, that was good, because I didn't know this dialogue even existed in the game, bro, and I played this multiple times.
Be happy he got killed before Shell and Becca joined us.
Why?
Don't worry about it.
So, Russell states that Danny was killed before Shell and Becca joined us. Not that he died. An external force, either a walker or another person, was the culprit. It's pure speculation, but it's possible that a protective member of the group who's no longer seen, someone like Nate or a member of Mystery Number 4, found out about his crimes and killed him for it. The reason I say this
I was gonna say that too. So like, if you go to the poster board, you see like other pictures of other people, but you can't. There's no like papers. You can't click on them. You just see them. So there's like other people that are still out there around, kind of doing with the same doing like the same thing our group was doing. You know what I'm saying? They're posting pictures, letting people know they're out there. This could be a theory too. This could be a very good theory too.
Because of one sneaky line of dialogue by Vince after Bonnie asks him a question.
Thank you. Everyone out there is batshit crazy. We've all seen it.
Well, we turned out all right, didn't we?
Relatively speaking.
What does relatively speaking mean? Again, he's already spoken highly of Danny, so he's not talking about him. No living member of the campsite is evil or insane in any way, with the exception of Bonnie.
Keep moving.
So he's possibly alluding to past members of the group who are no longer with us. This could also just be him having some banter, and it wasn't meant to be taken seriously, but it's a small theory that will become more convincing later in the video. In summary, Danny died sometime before he met Shell and Becca, but lived long enough to meet Russell. Since Russell's campaign ends on day 184, and Shell and Becca's end on day 259, he died sometime in between day 184 and day 259. He stuck by Vince for a very long time. There's
Hey, premium coming soon. Yeah, shout out Danny though for not being a scumbag like Justin was.
There's actually a dumb bonus mystery here. Just so you know, I'll be talking about any small mysteries, if I find any, at the end of each story before continuing. That way I don't necessarily have to stick to one per character or whatever. I'm sure you all know what I'm about to say. Whoever you shoot on the bus, even though their leg is blown off, they are still alive as the screen pans to the sky. And before you say this isn't a mystery at all, we all said the same thing with Kenny and Clementine before they turned up fine.
Yeah.
Plot armor aside, this is on par with those. In fact, with the massive amount of evidence
that was funny. He said plot armor aside. That was kind of funny. But yeah, and like I said, you do see them, so like whoever you leave, you do see them kind of like get up and crawl away, and they're still alive. But you got to imagine like the blood loss, and then again, you see the, I swear you see them as walkers in other people's in the other characters' stories though too.
I think this is a step down, to be honest. This final sequence does not change based on who you shoot, so I'll use the footage from Justin's scenario to illustrate this on both sides. Point number 1. The police officer's body is right beside him. Although Vince has the shotgun, anything else in his possession could have been taken to increase his chances of survival if needed. Point number 2. In the case of walkers breaking through the door, they would have gone for the officer first. Just to clarify, when I said that the Walking Dead zombies don't eat dead bodies, I was specifically referring to bodies during decomposition. Take Carver from Season 2 for example. In most cases, like here, the body is fresh and would still be eaten by the walkers in the bus had they...
Yo, the way the body's fresh, that kind of sounds messed up, but yeah, in this case, it's funny. It's kind of funny, but it's true. He's a freshly down too, and with Carver's too, you could argue that his brain was destroyed, so that's why they didn't go, say the walkers didn't go for it. But it took time because you got to think, Carver's body was technically fresh too, right after Kenny beat him down, didn't he? Because they beat him down, and then like the walkers kind of broke through. It maybe took some time for the walkers to get through all their defenses and everything, because we don't know what happened. I forgot what it was called. But to Crawford's place, when we left, you don't know what happened after that. You don't know how long the survivors lasted. It could have been 5 minutes after you left. It could have been 5 days. So I don't know. But you could argue you could argue his brain was destroyed, but also I don't think Carver was that. I don't think he was that badly decomposed.
Eventually pushed through. Point number 3. Some people have mentioned that the walkers are closing in on them in this last shot, but they aren't. They're still bashing against the door. It just seems that way because of the cam.
Yeah, that's true. But you don't see any walkers like. I mean, I don't know if you've seen in the street, but you don't see any in the bus like following or coming out.
Well, feel free to frame check this and see it for yourself.
Right. Okay. Yeah, they're not on your tail, and you even see him still kind of crawling out at the end here. You even still almost making it out, despite you two walking off. That's kind of a fucked up sight, but yeah, like they could have at least carried him, bro. Like.
Also, at no point in this scene can we see walkers outside of the bus, thus
okay,
giving them an
that was my
easy
next
escape
point.
route. Point number 4, which is the most important one. This is day 2 of the outbreak. Every single car on this road still works, the nearest car being literally 5 meters away, and there's even people inside it for goodness sake. Yes, they also vanish.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
In the next shot for some reason, but just go with it.
I was gonna say that was like because I pointed that out in my playthrough. I pointed it out. That was an editor mistake. You know what I'm saying?
And the 5th and final point is this. This isn't the only time we see the prison bus. It makes a short cameo at the start of Wyatt's chapter, 39 days into the future. If there was an opportunity to show their dead body and close this case once and for all, this would be their chance to do it.
You even see the police officer, the black officer that was just up front there, you even see him as a walker in certain character stories, depending on how you play, I think. I think he's in Wyatt's story, if I'm not mistaken.
Rather, the perspective, which deliberately obscures the floor, makes this mystery that much more ambiguous. Overall, I think this is more than enough evidence to prove that both Danny and Justin could, and probably are still alive if we shoot them instead. You can blame Telltale for giving me the ammunition to even make this segment a thing.
Yeah, no. Danny's fate dies if Vince saves him, but could be alive if he doesn't. Damn, that's kind of messed up. Vince, I'd rather you not save me, bro. Shoot my leg off here. That's true. That's a good theory. With all the evidence he presented, I can't... That's a solid theory, yeah. Yep. I agree with it. Justice Fate, probably alive, joined a hidden community. And I wish they would have maybe camoed him in different seasons and stuff like that. I don't know if he's ever mentioned or if he's ever seen. Is he like seen in the background? Like Richmond, what's the Frontier? Like, is he ever seen in that game? Maybe I'd play that again and look closer. But I mean, I wish they would have cameoed him in somewhere else in the season. Kind of like they did with Wyatt's friend, and you know how Clementine shot him when she went to the farm or whatever to get AJ? Kind of like how they did with him, like give us some closure on him, or like at least tell us what happened to him.
Before we talk,
hey, Prizzy coming soon. YouTube Prizzy coming soon. Prizzy Premium.
Spirit with the scavenger hunt. I worked all weekend on that.
Short screen here too, because he said. So I was talking to him in the comments when he dropped the video. He's saying he had like an additional. He had a pinned comment up here. Damn it, Another one.
I got into the immersive cold case program as a student investigator helping to...
But no, he said he had another, like, he said he had a pinned comment about his theory. That's why. Correction, Justin or Danny have slideshow cameos during the end credits. It's hard to see their legs, but it shows them crawling away from a few walkers. They also show up in Russell's story around 100 days later. Right, as a reanimate. That's what I was saying, as a reanimate walker. They were still able to crawl away from prison bus, maybe even seek refuge inside of a car. They died of blood loss soon afterwards. Damn, so no matter who Vince saves, they end up dying, huh? Or no, I guess no. Technically, I guess technically Justin, right? So if Vince saves Danny... Well, no. If Vince saves Justin, Justin leaves him and goes finds his own community. So technically, the only person that lives is Justin out of this, because Danny dies either way. Either he's as a walker, or he gets killed by someone. That's what they were saying. Dang, okay, yeah, it's sad, but that's what I thought. I swear I thought you saw him as reanimated walkers in someone else's story, or like later on in the game, at some point in the game.
You know I can't do that. Things are good here. We just have to stick together and follow the rules. Just don't do anything stupid.
Conversely, we have the latest group of survivors and the longest story of the DLC. Shell and Becca are siblings who reside in a large group off the road where the prison bus incident occurred. They're first seen out the window in Vince's story on day 2.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you see him. Yeah. Good job. Yep.
One of the many small details that I love. They interconnect the story beautifully and are easily missable. Did you know that the zombies in the courtyard are minor characters from the other episodes?
Oh, really?
The woman that Nate shoots.
Yeah. That's the police officer. That's what I was saying. The police officer is a walker, and then the woman, Nate and Russell.
Guard specifically.
Yeah. Yep.
The first break-in is a reference to Dee stealing the handbag.
Yeah.
Members of this group act as the antagonists on the search for her in Bonnie's chapter.
Kenny and Duck can also... Yeah, I was going to say, I swear I said that in my playthrough through, that Kenny and Duck can also be seen in the intro to 400 Days. I swear this is where, like, the zombie tries to grab him or something, or maybe they're just at the truck stop. But yes, and then also, too, I wanted to go back to his theory about Bonnie. Yes, so Bonnie's story is the first time they got looted, that Shell's group got looted, so that's why they were on the prowl for him. And that's crazy. Do you... Well, going to what we know about Bonnie in our playthrough of Season 4, or Season 2, fuck Bonnie. You're still deceitful, you're the same little bitch you are. But do you think, obviously Shell didn't know that Bonnie stole from her group, you know what I'm saying, and how that would play out in the 400 Days like group? That'd be kind of interesting to see the drama, I guess, because that's the whole reason that Shell's group was kind of strict in the way they were the second time around, because of Bonnie, Leland, and Dee. So yeah, Bonnie's an evil character, bro. I don't like her. I used to not pay attention to Bonnie and not think much of her, but she's really deceitful, lying, evil. I don't like her, bro. I don't like her. Right, yeah, yep, right there, yeah, because that's the same truck.
There's a lot to get into here. I want to make a breakdown of how the settlement was founded, because the timeline doesn't make any sense. How the group inevitably fell apart, as regardless of our choice to stay or escape, the sisters still show up in the epilogue. And lastly, what happened to the numerous survivors besides these two? I completely understand one character like Justin going missing because Vince was very transparent about his disappearance, and this was during the time where everyone was severely inexperienced and vulnerable.
Right.
But here there's like 8 characters, including those from Season 1, people who have seen and outlived the great Lee Everett.
But would this be... This had to be after. This was after, because Lee was only, a year in at most? I know it's 3 months, because we know 3 months, the second episode picks up, second or third episode of Season 1 picks up, it's like 30 or 90 days in. So I'm guessing 400 Days is after Lee, I think?
On Without a Trace. This one I'm excited for, so let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
If, like me, you just assumed that Roman's group existed in some form since day 2, you'd be wrong.
Yeah.
Shell and Becca's early cameo doesn't really mean much. When we drive past as Wyatt, there's no walls, and by the time Russell and Nate get here,
an empty lot,
it's the same thing minus the old couple. The earliest date we see Roman's group was with Bonnie. With this, we can confirm that they arrived in between 184 days and 220 days in. It also would have taken ages to fortify the walls among other things, so I'd lean closer towards the 190 day mark. This would explain how the old woman is still here and looks recently infected. When we interact with the bloodstains where the woman was killed, Shell says this.
Did you ever find out what happened there?
No. Roman said it was like this when he and Stephanie found the place.
So it was after Russell's story then.
These days, though.
Right.
Still, better not to think about it.
At first, it was only Roman and Stephanie, with the others joining soon
Yo,
after.
hold on. I like how they had it. Telltales, I see what you did there. You used reverse psychology in the dialogue. They said better not to think about it like us gamers aren't going to think about it. Like, no, we were connecting the stories day one, bro. We were thinking about that. Yo, that dialogue was funny. Better not to think about it. Hell no. We're going to think about it.
It's unknown when the group fell apart, and I'm not going to bother pinpointing the exact date. It's not important. What we need to do is check their dialogues. Anything regarding the group, if their members are still looking for them, would be a great help. Starting with the leave ending, Becca is the one who speaks up, believing that it's safer to join a larger group for protection.
Maybe we should go too, sis. If Roman is still looking for us, he wouldn't be able to do anything to us there.
There's no way that guy is still looking for you. We've been to that truck stop. There's no one left.
A massive thank you to Wyatt for giving us another lead out of nowhere. We now know that the group doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
At least they were all forced to leave their home at some point. You can argue that they started another manhunt for the sisters like they did with Dee, but why didn't they leave someone behind to guard it? Fortunately, all of this becomes clearer in a second. If we stay at the truck stop, this conversation looks a lot different, and sums up this entire mystery in a nutshell.
Staying in one place makes you an easy target. I don't care how safe you think it is.
That truck stop was a death trap. It was right off the highway, for God's sake. No way you and a bunch of sick old people were going to defend it.
It got raided. It wasn't really a surprise.
And that's not hard, between other groups or even bandits around. You got this is early days, so bandits were still around. I think they're still in the South. If we take anything, if we see Kenny's truck, we got to assume that they were in Atlanta. Or they were in the South. We got to think that how much in season 1 the bandits were a fucking problem for us, and just general survivors that just wanted to rob you too. So not even just the bandits. So yeah, definitely could got raided. And then he's kind of right. You need manpower. I'm sorry, like those are 3. If I'm not mistaken, those were all like recovering patients from Vernon's from Crawford that they got kicked out because they were all sick or they were old. They were old. That's what it was. So yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't think they could have held that. I mean, Roman, Roman, he's tough, but I don't know. No.
I think we all agree with Shell and Russell that setting up a camp here was very stupid.
It's
Truck
open.
stops/gas stations are some of the least hidden public places in the world. It was off of a major highway.
And you gotta think of all the supplies there, the food, the gas. Like, you gotta if there's gas cans, you know what I'm saying? But they sell drinks, they have water, they have, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like a little mini mart. They got stuff. It's a really good spot to raid, so.
Connected to a city where people were constantly fleeing from and into its suburban areas. Over time, I see groups of well-armed scavengers feasibly sneaking into the city from the same road,
just like they did
which
to us.
Is exactly what happened to Omid when he died at the beginning of season 2.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the exact same truck stop.
No! I never realized that. Panadares, that's good shit. I never realized that. It's the same truck stop.
That almost every character in the series comes across it because I hesitate to call this a coincidence. That's just how out in the open this place is. It was fun to learn more about the group's fragmentation, but in the end I'm amazed it lasted as long as it did. So what happened to everyone not named Shell or Becca? Let's go over every character one by one to know if they died before the raid, during the raid, or if they made it out alive. Starting with Stephanie, she was a founding member of the truck stop group who taught Becca how to play the guitar. After the short time skip, she was captured by Roman attempting to steal supplies and escape.
Right.
They lock her in the back of a van and ask us to execute her, facilitating the choice to have no part in it and leave forever. It's upsetting to say that her fate doesn't change at all. Even if we do leave, Roman still goes back to finish her off. It's not shown on screen, but both outcomes do result in her death as confirmed in the wiki and by the Telltales series statistics.
Yeah, R.I.P. Stephanie. Yeah, she was kind of cool. Don't think about it too much, yo. Dies regardless if Shell and Becca leaves her or not. Yeah, it's tough.
Roman was last seen screaming at the sisters to come back as they fled the scene. Reminds me of Kenny escaping the motel in episode 3. What if they left Ben behind instead? This is a very interesting case because he's the only character of this group who we see in season 2. It's extremely easy to miss, but when Nick and Pete take Clementine down to the lake, you'll notice a pile of
Panadares, you're legit. You're solid. Yes, I never noticed that. I played season 2 when it first came out. Damn. Panadares, you do this shit. You're good.
Dead bodies. Roman's body is
that's the
this
same
one
coat
in the
too,
middle.
is it?
This one's shot too.
Through the head?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
The only explanation is that he joined another group after the truck stop fell apart. How he ended up here of all places, I'm not sure, but the most likely theory is that he heard stories about Wellington, similar to Kenny and Krista.
Two-hearted IPA.
I said, okay, I'm gonna go after the
for
ad.
a nice slow afternoon.
I'm sorry, bro, but if you're in the South, hold on, Roman's Fate, killed by Carver's group in season 2. Damn, yeah, that's crazy. That's how it is, though. But I'm gonna say this too. If you're in the South, bro, like during the zombie apocalypse, I'd stay where it's warm. I'm sorry. Why would you? I'm sorry. Trying to travel across the country to go somewhere north. Like if you're in Atlanta, bro, trying to go to Virginia, like, bro, it's gonna be a journey. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, why? Me, I don't like the cold. I get the walkers freeze, but then the snow makes them hard to see too, though. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather, but at the same time, the heat makes their body decompose. So I'd rather stay where it's warm and in the South, where I guess they're literally skin and bones, because the heat is gonna make them to they're just bones and they're weak at some point in time. That's what's eventually gonna happen when their body decomposes as walkers. See, I always thought that was weird. And then the risk, bro, like the risk of this, like you're traveling, you're going through all these places, and you never know who you're gonna run into. And you run into someone that's gonna get you, just like Carver did Roman.
To date, the cancer survivor group have no on-screen appearance or mention post 400 days. Their whereabouts are completely unknown, but I hope they died in the ambush, with the exception of Boyd, who's the only one who expresses guilt for essentially killing off Lee and his group. Lee's ghost is what got them, yet it didn't matter if they escaped.
I mean, because they did come and steal the boat, they tied up our people, and then we had to go. No, that's when I came back. That's when we came back. But they did kind of fuck us. Like, they did change our plans, fuck our whole season 5, episode 5 up. They did.
The raid or not, this group consisted mostly of elderly folk who would have never survived out in the streets for long. To end this mystery on a dark note, the final list of characters' fates are as follows, with Roman being the last one to die early in season 2. None of them are alive today.
Cancer, support group's fate. Remaining member died during the raid or shortly after. Yeah, I agree with that, because they were too old. What if they got sick again? You know what I'm saying? They couldn't live on the streets. They didn't have the medicine. Yeah. And we know, I forgot what happened. They did mention what happened to Vernon. I forget what happened. They mentioned something happened to him in 400 days too.
Should we just kill these folks and take
I wonder, because you can stay with him or you can leave too. You can leave Nate. So I'm interested to see what happened to him.
What happened to Nate after 400 days? Gotta be one of the most interesting 400 days characters in my opinion. He was funny and kinda cool.
Yeah, he didn't strike someone who would die very easy. Yeah.
He didn't strike me as someone who would die very easily. Russell and Nate are two of my favourite characters in the series. Their dynamic and pragmatic relationship make this story one of acceptance, working together despite personal differences, and going to Russell's grandmother's to eat a home-cooked meal. It's a shame we couldn't see more of these two together, because it's the closest thing after Lee and Kenny from a creative dynamic with conditional outcomes based on how much they like you. Like many characters on this list, his wiki article ends with the familiar Nate's whereabouts after this remain unknown, so I suppose it's up to our speculation once again. I do consider Nate to be a level above the likes of Justin or the cancer survivor group. He's a lone survivor, an outlier in his intelligence, getting the better of Wyatt and Eddie at the beginning of the outbreak, and using Nate as a ploy to kill the old couple at the truck stop who had the upper hand on him. In my opinion, his quick temper puts him just below Molly as the second best strategist this early in the apocalypse. The community have come forth with many theories on how long he lived.
I get that to him, because the way his hot-headedness and the way he acts, just his vibe, I don't think he's going out sad. I don't think he's, and then we ever see him again? I don't think we see his body. We never see anything. Yeah.
After 400 days, how he split up with Russell, and what could have inevitably killed him. Let's discuss some of these now. I'm not the only person who acknowledges that Nate is a lot smarter than he seems. Under a post about him replacing Troy as Carver's right-hand man, you think that Nate would have had an ulterior motive to build Carver's trust before eventually betraying him. He seems like he would use someone for his advantage, post as someone who's completely different from who he...
Yeah, because that's what he did to Russell. He kind of used his advantage when he needed us. He forced us into his truck. It was weird.
Really is.
I agree,
which is why I strongly believe that Nate is still alive as far in as season 4, far surpassing the lifespan of the average Lost character from videos past. Other people claim that it could go either way. With luck and awareness on his side, he would have had to become even more cautious of pissing off the wrong person. Harassing random strangers like Russell would have cost him his life at some point. I think this theory is the most common one, although I must reiterate that Nate was manipulating Russell from the very beginning.
Right.
Everything from luring out the walkers in the forest if you decline his offer the first time, from stopping at the gas station. I can prove this too. When Russell says, "I'm trying to get to my grand's house," Nate says, "Just get in, we'll get there, or somewhere, eventually." Demanding, deflecting, the somewhere in question was the truck stop. This interaction was 100% premeditated. He wouldn't orchestrate a plan like this on someone who he deemed dangerous or possibly armed. He would have simply adjusted his personality.
The only downfall with him is he was drink. I mean, if you pay attention, he kind of drinks. So maybe he could have caught. I know this is gonna sound kind of stupid, but maybe he got caught lacking. Because he was drunk one day or something. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he pulled up the wrong person. He had too many drinks. He was too drunk and got whipped down. But I don't. Yeah. Besides his drinking, and then or another theory is he could have got drunk and totaled his car, because that's something else. I know it's kind of sad, but that's the only real for me, because you got to think he was alone. So he was alone. He had a car. He had a truck. He could move on his own. He had weapons. That's what I'm saying. That's the only downfall. He was good at talking. He was good at manipulating people, I guess. That's the only. I know it's kind of lame to say that, oh, his drunkenness killed him probably, but that's really a real one that I kind of see for Nate. I don't see him being, off that easy. And if I do, that's what I'm saying. That's his only, from playing with Russell, that's the only downfall I see is his drunkenness, is how much he drinks and the whole interaction. Like, he was drinking, he was drunk when he drunk driving. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments
to these near-death experiences, which had nothing to do with the people he chose to trust, but rather the situations he put himself in, like parking his car out in the open in a hostile environment, or chasing down two armed men in Wyatt and Eddie to avenge his friend. Before I move on to the breakup mystery, did you know that his truck is exactly the same here as it is in Wyatt's story?
Yeah.
After 104.
It took me a few playthroughs to realize, but yeah, and you can kind of see it in the game if you do it right. Well, if you can kind of angle the camera right, you can kind of see that that's Nate in that car chasing Wyatt.
43 days, you'd assume he'd fix it or steal another vehicle. I like to use this in his defense when people call him a madman or a thief. If he was a horrible person, he would have easily found a way to get another vehicle. That's just a fact. The only times we saw him act out in violence was against Wyatt and Eddie first. Their perspective is purposely delivered out of context. Listen to this conversation and tell me who's in the wrong here.
God, this is so fucked! Why the hell did you shoot that guy, man? What the hell was that?
I didn't mean
to do it. It just happened, okay? Where the fuck were you with a warning? Me? You're putting that on me now? I didn't see the guy either. I was too worried those dudes were gonna pull guns on us. Shit! Dude, how'd they catch up to us?
The second is obviously the old couple, which I've already gone into detail about. There's also a secret section. If you send a Nate across the street first, you can point a gun at his back. About the most hostile thing you can do to another person. Nate forgives us and acts like nothing ever happened. What a kind-hearted person.
I think I did that.
Tell me if you like Nate as much as I do in the comments. The other mini mystery is how...
Yeah, Nate was cool. I just didn't like what he did to those old people at the end there. And he was manipulative, but I mean, again, he was smart in the apocalypse, and I think if he stuck the way he did, I think he made it far. I think he made it far. Could still be alive, or maybe his drunkenness killed him. I don't know. Again, let me know what you think in the comments about that.
Russell split up with him. You may decide to cut ties with him at the end, where he'll kill the two people anyway.
Yeah,
if you stay silent or agree that they should die because they should. They called Russell a slur and tried to kill us both. Past conflicts with Nate aside, I cannot let that slide. It would be different.
They didn't call what kind of slur they called Russell, bruh? They didn't call Russell what I think they called him, did they? Hey, Walking Dead, you better watch it, man.
If they gave us a warning to leave in the parking lot, but they didn't, they just opened fire. Russell is still shocked about what happened, contemplating and holding his head. Nate turns around, gives him some kind words of encouragement.
Hold on, also too, the old people, when you pulled up, they were talking about something about, oh, don't come back here, you've been here before. So another theory, I hope, and maybe he talks about this, is did Nate rob that place before, or did he raid, you know what I'm saying, did he do something to those old people before? Because I swear, when you pull up in the game, they're talking about leave or don't, they're saying something, I swear it implies that Nate has been there before, or that maybe not Nate, but they've been attacked before by someone. And that's why they were shooting at you in the beginning. I swear that's what it was. If I'm mistaken, let me know in the comments. But I swear that's what it was. When you pull up, they're shooting at you, and they're saying things like "Don't come in" or "Don't come back," or they're saying things. So I'm guessing that maybe Nate either he's been there before and stole something from them, or maybe other people had too.
And the episode ends off to Grandma's. The following events are convoluted. It's implied through Russell's reaction that he checked out of their friendship from that point forth. It's evident by his recollection of Nate at the campsite where he calls him batshit crazy in both outcomes. It's just the creepy phrase, "Nate kept you around," that makes it debatable. How long did he keep us around for? Not very long from what I can tell. Last time I checked, Russell's family does not make an appearance, nor is his grandmother mentioned again. Needless to say,
you can see Russell, he's in season 2, but again, you never see his family, he's never met up. No, yeah, and that's the other thing too, is you see some of the characters from 400 Days in the actual Walking Dead. But yeah, you never see his family or meet up with them again.
Made it to her house and found something in her place. So where exactly was her house, and was Nate still around to get that home-cooked meal he so craved? Soon after the episode begins, you can interact with the first sign and he'll disclose that he has 63 miles left to walk. He also shows a map of his destination with 80 miles at the top. He walked the first 17 miles off screen. The town on the right is obscured completely, and the other is partially obscured besides the last few letters. We also don't know if he was travelling east or west, but figuring out where he's...
I mean, so this would say Carolina, right? So we have to... We figure he's in the south, because we figure he... Well, no. You gotta think, if you jump to the bush, you see Carly's body, so you gotta think he's in Atlanta, or he's near Atlanta, he's gotta be in the south, so if I had to guess... This would have to be South Carolina, maybe, because he's in Atlanta. He'd go south. Well, we don't know where he's trapped. We don't know where he's going though, too. So maybe this could be like north. Up here, I'm saying this could be North or South Carolina, depending on where he's at.
Started his journey, we'd establish a direction. Luckily, Nate pries him for information and he gives it away immediately.
Arguing semantics, Russ. Give a pal the deets.
All right. There was 7 of us. I didn't have any family there or nothing. They're all at my grand's down in Statesboro.
We can track down this place on Google Maps, following the highway west from Statesboro to a small town called Sandersville, which matches perfectly. Exactly 80 miles give or take, and the river west of Augusta is aligned as well. This took way longer to find than I thought it would. So Russell was traveling west.
Yeah, good shit, because I was looking at the map, I was like, bro, what Carolina is that? Which way he's traveling? That was, shout out Panadares for again, putting in the work, man. Shout out. That was, the good job.
From Statesboro to Sandersville, neither of which are locations we
Okay, yeah, because you could see, Sandersville, Carolina. Okay, yeah.
Travel to in The Walking Dead. The closest would have actually been the train in Season 1 en route to Savannah. We have absolutely no way to tell how badly affected these areas were, but I don't think that Russell split up with Nate immediately. We have to remember that it was night time at the truck stop, and even a small town is extremely dangerous alone. Please tell me what you think below. Did Nate die somehow before day 400? Did he try anything with Russell's grandmom? Or was Russell just shaken up about what happened and went his separate ways?
Alive until not part of a group. Yeah, no, I agree. Nate could be very well alive. Again, the only downfall I saw from my gameplay was his drunkenness. That's the only. More photographs, yeah. Because you see, that's what I'm saying. You see all the photos, right? Not all these are like some of them are missing, but other than
This mystery is by far the creepiest on this list. From what I've read, there's no record of anyone talking about the forgotten photographs anywhere.
No!
These are a number of portraits that coexist with the familiar faces of the 400 Days cast. Glimpses of these faces can be seen under certain conditions, but they have remained fastened to the notice board.
Right, depending on how you... Right, and then she's even wearing a Telltale game shirt, so I'm guessing it's probably someone that helped make the game. But yeah, again, just noticing that TTG, I see that you're not slick. But yeah, they never do talk about it, and like that's what even in my playthrough, I think I kind of like moved around the screen just to see the extra photos and to see if you could see any text or anything, because it's just all scribbles, but you do see photos of other people, like I said at the beginning of the video.
As untold stories from over a decade ago. The one and only document is a bleak wiki article with little information. It's here where we can look over the photographs clearly. I won't be going over every character because I'll be here for hours. Let's just glance over them and stop if we find something interesting. Some of these first photos look vaguely familiar but not at the same time. Maybe concept art of some sort. Survivor 1 looks a bit like Krista. 2 looks like Sarah from season 2. It's not only the glasses either, it's weird. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not her, but it could...
It could be, yeah, I see what you're saying, but the skin complexion is different. Plus, this doesn't make sense unless... Because she was with her dad, you know what I'm saying? She was with her dad. So unless... And they never do say what happened to her mom, did they? That's a... Hey, Panadere, that's a mystery. What happened to Sarah's mom? Did they ever mention that at all? Like in the... You know, anyone else watching the video, can you let me know in the comments? Did they ever mention, like, what happened to Sarah's mom? Because when you get there, it's only her and Carlos. So, for someone to put this picture, it'd been either, like, maybe her... I don't know, maybe one of her relatives, but I'm guessing her mom, if it was supposed to be her. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading too much into it, but it's what we do as, you know, creators and, you know, people that are in the games. So, yeah, that begs... with that bringing up, that begs the question, what happened to her mom?
Easily be her mother or something.
Right.
Scrolling down to Survivor 8, this is the one who most people are familiar with. They're the only foreground character. When I first played 400 Days, I was clicking on it thinking it was a playable episode. The wiki also says that it's a girl, addressed as she, but I think that's a mistake. The TTG on his shirt is an Easter egg and nod to the developers. I was excited when I saw Survivors 10 through 13 because it reminded me of the family of Sam the dog. It was a long shot. When looking at them side by side, it's clearly a different family. Survivor 14 is very important as he's the only one with a name, likely a 4-letter name ending in Rad. It has to be Brad, I mean there's nothing else it could be, right? Searching his name leads nowhere as expected.
That's what I was gonna say. That could also be because he's wearing let's go back to it. He's also wearing like a jersey too, so that could be like the name of his team and his number. You know what I'm saying? Football player. Because Rad, usually their last names are on the back of the jersey. So this could be like his football team or something like that, or his high school. You know, I don't know if that's his name.
Letter name ending in Rad. It has to be Brad, I mean there's nothing else it could be.
Right.
Searching his name leads nowhere as expected, but it was nice to find something, I guess. Much of the same for the last two. Survivor 17 is a baby, but she's probably closer to AJ's age nowadays.
If she's alive.
A theory I believed, and what most people would argue, is that these are photos left over from before the outbreak and have no relevance to the DLC. I disagree for 2 reasons. 1, they're called survivors in the wiki, not character X or person X.
Good point, yeah, survivors, that's a good point.
It's understood that these people have lived through the DLC to some extent and may have potentially occupied the pit stop before anyone else got there. I know that a fan-made wiki isn't the most credible source, but at least they agree that they were more than
you gotta think though, people were already coming through. I mean, it came in on everyone else's. Kenny was there, again, before the apocalypse, but then you gotta think the old people were kind of posted up there too. Definitely. People could have came and gone, you know what I'm saying? Not even with Shell's group. It could have been with Shell's group, but before her time too, you know what I'm saying? People could have came and gone, left there, stuff like that. Definitely agreeable. Could see that.
Pre-outbreak civilians. And 2, if the main characters of 400 Days believed them to be obsolete, they would have torn them down. They wouldn't confuse Tavia by leaving up old photos of random people who she could have easily mistaken for other survivors. I believe that these were all characters who were either around at some point, went missing or abandoned the group, or died and their photos were kept up as a memorial. My theory is that some of them were malicious. And when Vince says the line relatively speaking, he may have been talking about these people who are no longer associated with them. Survivors 3, 7 and 9 stick out to me the most, but I could be wrong. Honestly, the less I talk about these people the better. They're all scary in their own right. It was concept art or maybe part of a contest or something. Talking about these people who are no longer associated with them. Survivors 3...
This could be Leland, right? Leland? That's the first one that comes to mind when I see him as Leland. From Bonnie's story. This I don't know, it doesn't really ring a bell. This doesn't either. I don't know why, it does look weird. It looks somewhat familiar. But this definitely reminds me of Leland. That reminds me of Leland from Bonnie's story. But this, I don't know why this character looks familiar.
7 and 9 stick out to me the most, but I could be wrong. Honestly, the less I talk about these people the better. They're all scary in their own right. It was concept art or maybe part of a contest or something.
Could have been. Who survived the longest?
This is a good thing. I know it is.
In my second Walking Dead video, I concluded that all of the 400 Days cast likely survived the horde which infiltrated Carver's compound. With the exception of Tavia and Bonnie, they all made it out safely, albeit I didn't clarify one thing. Surely made it out in one piece, but for how long? I think it's fitting we saved this one for last because we're technically a few months in the future during Season 2. It's the last time, assuming they all agreed to come with Tavia, that we can see them again following 400 days. Who had what it took to survive the longest? Before I begin, there's a theoretical branch of this mystery. If the characters didn't go with Tavia and stayed at the camp instead, foraging for food like raccoons, would they have lasted longer or less? I'll do a quick overview of that one at the end. Just know that I'm exclusively talking about the path where everyone came to Carver's, everyone made it out and had to stick together like the old days. I'll do these in chronological order. Vince has proven himself to be one of the strongest survivors in the crew from the moment we saw him on screen. His story spans from day 2 where he was already in serious trouble, with no experience of the world around him and in a position where most people wouldn't handle. He adapted quick, escaped death and survived a lot of the 400 days by himself. He consistently shows good awareness and does not hesitate to defend his group.
He also gave me, when Tavia first came up too, Vince was giving me like leader vibes, like, oh, this is the leader type shit, yeah.
Unofficial leader of the campsite. When watching the scene back, it's obvious that everyone thinks of him as the authority, by his actions and by the way he speaks.
Hey, don't shoot.
Vince! Don't fucking move!
It was an accident.
Hey, that's enough!
But like all of the characters in the DLC besides Nate, I haven't seen quite enough of him to tell if he's really about that life. I'd still probably put him number 4, just ahead of Season 1 Kenny, but behind Lee, Nate and Molly for the Season 1/400 Days Survivor tier list. He was not dying anytime soon. The only way I see that happening is if he died in a shootout defending everyone else. Next we have an interesting one, Wyatt. I think the funnier question is, did he survive longer than his friend? That would be impressive. I don't think he did. He's terrible at shooting, he's quite tentative, hesitant. I don't see him surviving long when his glasses inevitably broke.
Yeah, and he wasn't like, without a group or like without someone else, I don't see, he doesn't give me those vibes like he's made enough to do it. I don't think Wyatt's about that life. Let me know in the comments if you think you do, but I don't think it's about that life.
So I think he was the first one to die. I don't know how bad his eyesight was, but he would have been compromised to some extent. The sisters had an advantage because they were a family and always stuck by each other's side. Becca could have died on day 2 if her older sister wasn't there to help.
Yeah, that's true.
Currently I see this translating extremely well. Individually, yes, Becca was especially vulnerable, but they wouldn't split up for any reason, especially when dangerous. Also, Becca was already exhibiting signs that would have helped her in the long run, showing no mercy for her old friends when it came to making very difficult decisions.
Says we have to
kill her? Yeah. Why would she do this
Yeah,
to us?
I could see it. Yeah, if the world was tough and she had to toughen up, I could see it too. Or I could see her becoming a leader and like a Lily almost. I could see Shell becoming like a Lily. Becca too. I could see. Yeah, definitely. This could be if they were evil, bro. If they were evil and they had like survival skills, they could be top 2. They could be like a dynamic duo.
She's just scared. She made a mistake.
That'll be her last mistake.
Becca, Stephanie is your friend.
Yeah.
Was my friend.
Look at Becca. Yo.
I don't want
like
this
an evil Clementine.
To be who we are.
Just let me do it then.
I could see her becoming a cold-blooded villain given enough time.
A Lily.
We don't see Shell do anything indicating that she's a competent survivor, but she does track down Dee in Bonnie's episode, so I suppose she's tactically proficient from a previous experience in the truck stop. Personally, I see them surviving ages together, but tell me if you agree or not.
Yeah, I agree with
that. If one of them died, then it was over for the other.
Oh, yeah.
Lastly, we have the man himself.
Okay, if Becca dies, I think Shell could survive on her own, but I don't think if Shell dies, I don't think Becca could survive on her own too long, if she was old enough to. But then in that case, then if that does happen, then I feel like we see Becca become that Lily character, that even worse, maybe even worse because she's younger, like an evil Clementine, evil Lily character, in my opinion.
He's the hardest on this list because we know that he can survive on his own, but we have to remember that he was once part of a group. Other than that, before Nate picked him up, he walked 18 miles westward of Statesboro. I don't think that's much of an achievement. Teaming up with Nate to invade the truck stop was the coolest thing in the DLC, but Russell's reaction kind of ruined the whole thing. Becca wouldn't have done that shit. Hard to tell once again, but there's nothing to suggest that he didn't survive much longer. I'll only say that he definitely needed to change his attitude quick. If he was ever in a similar situation again, and Nate or Vince wasn't there, I fear for him. So
that's true, I guess so, but you could also argue, because I don't exactly agree with it. You could say that yes, Russell, he wasn't made for war. He wasn't made, you know, for fighting and surviving day by day, but he did, like you said, he did just walk 17, 18 miles. You know what I'm saying? So that proves, hold on, that does prove, because you have to think he didn't do that in one day. You're not walking. No, I don't think you're walking 17, 18 miles in one day, especially during these times. So that proves he can like remain low key. He can survive on his own. Granted, he was a part of a group, but he was on his own. You know what I'm saying? When Nate found him. Now, granted, he was kind of jumpy and probably wasn't the most violent, I guess, like survival. But I disagree. I think Russell could, if he remained low key and like played his cards right and kind of went at it with a strategy, or like looked at things and saw things before they were coming. I think Russell could have made it far. I think he's better on his own. That's the reason he left this group. He was like, I'm done with numbers. I'm done with people. I'm just going to go on my own. So I disagree with Panadares there. I think walking at 17, 18 miles on your own during survival, like during an apocalypse like this when the Walking Dead is around, I think that's an achievement. And I think that proves you can be on your own. You can be on your own for at least more than a day or two. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you know, like you have survival skills, like you know how to follow a map, you know your directions. Like I think Russell, if he played his card right and applied himself, I think he survived long. Now, if he got into a shootout, I think he's done. But I mean, if it depends on his route. But I think he could very well be alive.
Final verdict, with Vince, Shell, and Becca at the top,
right.
Russell in the middle, and Wyatt as the least likely. As for the campsite scenario, I don't think that would have changed much. Still close to the highway where any psychopath could have taken a note and creeped up on them like Tavia did. I still think that was a dumb thing to do. My list would remain the same in both outcomes though. I want to thank everyone once again for watching this series. Whether you are here from the beginning or just passing through, Michonne is the last looming subject of a future project I've yet to discuss. I'll make it sometime in the future, but 400 Days was the important one as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it was bigger. Yeah, that's sick. No, yeah. All right, man. Let me take the comments. Shout out Panadares. Yeah, my boy. You know, I subscribe to him, like the video. Good content as well. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of all this. But for now, that's gonna do it. Peace.